Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Repeater, and today we're going to be doing another Deep Rock Galactic tier list. This time we're going to be talking about the Lok-1 Smart Rifle. You're going to kind of have to ignore the rest of the weapons here. This was the only tier list that I could find that actually showed all the weapons, at least up to current, or at least all the overclocks up to where it currently is now. So the Lok-1 Smart Rifle has 6 in total, 2 clean, 2 balanced, and 2 unstable. We're going to be talking about each of them, and we're going to be ranking them. Let me go over real quick what the tiers kind of are. S tier is usually just kind of busted. It's top tier. So not necessarily all overclocks or most overclocks are even going to get to S tier. A tier is solid. Always a good overclock. Pretty strong all the way around. B tier also solid. May have a little bit of a downside, but for the most part, really good. C tier is kind of average. Nothing too special, but usually what I would still want, or something that's very specific to a particular job, something that might be better than just not having an overclock at all. And then D tier is usually worse than actually having an overclock, which there's only very few weapons that very few weapons that have overclocks that are worse. So let's begin. Our first one is the armor breaking module. This one's a clean overclock. This one makes it so when you are fully locked on, all of your bullets have full armor breaking. This is just really good. You can build this however you want with this Lok-1 Smart Rifle. You can punch through enemies' armor, and there's really no downside to it. It's like a lot of clean overclocks. All around, really solid. I'd probably put this one up into B tier. It's not one of my absolute favorites for the Lok-1, but I have no issue with it either. And it's definitely better than like a C tier, where it's just, kind of okay. This one is good. Our next one is Eraser. Eraser increases our magazine size by 12, increases our maximum amount of lock-ons from 12 to 16, at least normally. You can then go even higher if you take the aperture extension from 12 all the way up to 24 if you would like. So again, does not mess with the Lok-1 Smart Rifle in any negative way. You can lock on to as many targets as you would like. You could go all the way up to 24 targets if you really want to. And you get a larger magazine, which means that you get slightly more ammo, and every time you reload, you have those 12 extra rounds in it. Again, you can build a Lok-1 however you want. Eraser's really solid. I think I like it a little bit more than the armor breaking module. I don't think I'd put it any higher than B tier, though. If it gave you like some extra ammo or something, then it probably would be like A tier. But right now, it's sitting at a very high B tier. Maybe bordering on A tier, somewhere around there. For our first balanced overclock, we have the Seeker rounds. Now, Seeker rounds make it so lock-ons always hit targets. Doesn't matter if there's like other enemies in the way, or if there's friends in the way, or if there's even structures in the way, or terrain. You can just punch right through everything and hit it. This comes at the cost, though, of having your burst rate significantly reduced by about 47%. So your shots, once you have locked onto stuff, are very slow. Your reload time is also a little bit hampered by 0.5 seconds. The reload, I honestly didn't notice all that much, but punching through multiple enemies, punching through multiple like terrain and hitting enemies, that's really cool. It doesn't really mess with your ammo count or anything like that. It doesn't mess with your lock-ons. Oh yeah, your loose lock-on threshold is actually quite a bit wider too, so you do get a wider field of view to hit enemies, which is nice, especially if you like the CCD array add-on, the mod. I think it's the tier 2 mod. That's really good with this weapon. I really enjoy it. So you could take that with this and make it a really huge field of view to hit just about everything. Overall, I think Seeker rounds are pretty solid if it wasn't for the very slow rate of fire. The very slow rate of fire does hurt this. It's definitely better than not having like an add-on or anything like that. But I don't know if I'd put Seeker rounds. I think I'm going to put Seeker rounds on the very low end of A tier. It's bordering similar to like Eraser is, where it's bordering on like A and B tier. It can be really good, but it can also just be kind of okay. If you have blow-through rounds, this one's actually really strong because then it can actually punch through multiple enemies. I should have stated that before when I was saying it can punch through multiple enemies. If you have blow-through rounds, it can. If not, it will just stop at the first enemy that it hits. So blow-through rounds and the Seeker rounds is actually really good. Our next one is the explosive chemical compound. This one's a little bit weird. This one makes it so when you have 3 or more locks on a single target, your third bullet will cause an explosion on that target. This comes at the cost of 5 regular damage and at the cost of 36 total ammo. Losing out on ammo kind of sucks. This also makes it so your maximum number of locks goes up, but the explosion is actually pretty decent as it causes explosion and it causes a little bit of fear to any enemy that it hits, but in a very small radius, so that doesn't matter too much. Explosive rounds I've found have been kind of okay, but I think that they would be like the least likely one that I would pick out of the overclocks here. So I think I'd put this one into C tier, even though I have probably used it more than like Seeker rounds. I feel like Seeker rounds and the clean overclocks are a little bit better than this one. That's not to say this one's bad or anything. I think it's still good. I think it's still pretty usable, but I don't think it's quite as strong as them. It's definitely not like D tier or anything like that. It's, again, maybe one that's bordering on like C and B tier. It's pretty decent. Then we've got Executioner as our first unstable overclock. So Executioner gives us 50% more weak spot damage when we are at full locks, as well as our lock on time is cut in half, so we can lock on much faster than normal. Our maximum ammo is cut by 12, our magazine size is also cut by 12, and we also get our maximum number of locks cut down to 8 rather than 12. The downsides to this aren't really that big a deal when you're doing 50% bonus damage to weak spots. It's a really strong overclock. This is probably the strongest overall overclock, I would say, for the Smart Rifle, and probably one of my favorites. Don't think I'd put this into S tier, though. I don't think it's quite as insane as some of the other overclocks in the game. This, like, if you needed to have an S tier for the Lok-1 Smart Rifle, this would probably be it. But compared to all the other overclocks that like Engineer has, or just that are in the game, this one's probably like a high A tier. It's very good. I enjoy it a lot. The downsides are so minimal and so neglectable that it's great. And then our last unstable overclock is the Neuro Lasso. This makes it so each lock on an enemy slows it down by 10%. But these slows multiply as to each hit. I guess they also reset the timer, but the timer decays incredibly fast. So you don't slow enemies for very long because of this. This also comes at the cost of having a slightly slower lock-on by 15%. And you also have a limit on the locks of only 6 seconds. So you can't be holding the lock for a very long time. But this does make it so every shot will slow enemies a little bit. Or slow enemies a good amount if you hit them a couple times. This combined with the electric mods that this weapon has can stack slows up really fast. And if you're going with that build in particular, then this one is pretty strong. Without that, and you're just going with one of the regular builds, this one's just kind of okay. And I would probably put this one into B tier if you're doing that, but if you are going with the slower build, I would probably put it up into A tier. I think I'd put it above the Seeker rounds, but not as high as the Executioner. Both these two, I could see anybody putting them down into B tier. I could also see somebody moving Executioner up to S tier because it is pretty good. No D tiers here for the Smart Rifle, but no S tiers either, I would say. All of them are pretty decent, and I haven't been disappointed in any of them. Next time, I think I'm going to be doing all the Engineer overclocks just in general up here, just so that we can kind of set them up here now. And then after that, I'll be going through each of the other classes once I get a chance to test out all of the other overclocks for their weapons. I have already for the Sludge Pump, but I have not yet for the Hurricane, and I haven't tested out one yet for the Scout, so those videos will be a little bit further in the future. Special thanks to the supporters of this channel. These are my members over here on YouTube and my patrons over on Patreon. They get early access to videos like this, and if you would like to be a part of that, be sure to check out the link in the description. Also, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!